Kane made his return to WWE and SmackDown this week on Friday Night SmackDown. This was announced prior to the show. We knew that Glenn Jacobs, the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, was making his return to the WWE fresh off his recent appearance on Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions on the WWE Network. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's a great watch. So to break the segment down, Kane first comes out with his fire pyro. It's nice to have that back. When WWE was going through their phase of not having any pyro, it was a nice change of pace to have it back. As without the pyro, the entrance just isn't the same. I know some people say, "Oh, you don't need pyro." Steve Austin, The Rock didn't have pyro. Yes, but when you've built up a character about their entrance and a character like Kane, where it's so over the top and it's so different, the pyro and all the bells and whistles are needed for me. And they even tried to replace it by just having the noise of the pyro go off without actually having the pyro, which seemed nonsensical to me. But it was nice to have the pyro back. Didn't have the corner pyro, which was a shame. As Kane's corner pyro is, it's just symbolic, isn't it, of his character. But again, nice to have the pyro back. He starts doing a Kane rambling promo about having the most career eliminations in the Royal Rumble. He talks about the Royal Rumble match. It's his favourite event, his favourite pay-per-view. The winner has to go through how to win. Lots of how references here because, Kane, fire, how, demon. Then it all works, it all fits together. He says that he likes the Royal Rumble because it turns someone's WrestleMania dream into a nightmare, all because of Kane. I was thinking whilst this was going on, where are they going with this? I assumed going into this that Kane was going to enter the Royal Rumble. This wasn't confirmed that he is going to enter the Royal Rumble, but I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up. It's looking more and more likely. So I thought this is where it was going, but it wasn't. We get interrupted by Bray Wyatt and the Firefly Funhouse. He then calls Kane a big red bully. He tells Kane to say that he's sorry, and he hopes Kane didn't hit any traffic all the way up from HE double hockey sticks. He also informs us that Ramblin' Rabbit is alive. Of course, after last week, he was brutally murdered by Bray Wyatt once again. Apparently, Ramblin' Rabbit has more lives than the proverbial cat's 9 lives, but he's alive. He's like Kenny from South Park. You just killed Ramblin' Rabbit, but then he'll be back next week. Bray Wyatt then turns around and sees Kane's picture on the wall, as the Fiend, of course, attacked Kane when Raw was in Tennessee a few months ago. I think it was prior to the Bray Wyatt or the Fiend's Seth Rollins match at Hell in the Cell. He attacked him. So he sees him on the wall and he says, "Oh, that means that the Fiend and Kane got it on." And then says that he being the Fiend, remembers. And they show some clips of Kane and Bray Wyatt's previous feud from when Bray Wyatt first actually debuted in the WWE back in 2013. They had their match at SummerSlam, which was a Ring of Fire match, which was essentially a PG Inferno match, whereby instead of having to set them on fire, they just had the flames surrounded by the ring, but you could still win the match by pinfall, which was a spectacle without a doubt, and a really cool way to debut Wyatt in his first match. So they reference that history so that he remembers. So it seems like they're setting something up here. After Bray Wyatt talks about or references the Ring of Fire match, the lights go out, which means can only mean one thing, that the Fiend's going to appear. The Fiend appears from under the ring and stares at Kane, who Kane at this point had moved to the outside of the ring. We'll find out why in a second. Kane turn around, they have a stare off, and Kane says, "What took you so long?" And you think he's talking to the Fiend, but he's not. He's talking to Daniel Bryan, who attacks the Fiend and sends him back through the ring from where he came from. It was all a ruse. Team Hell No with a slight reunion to set up and get some revenge on the Fiend, not only for Daniel Bryan, but for Kane from his previous attacks. But it wouldn't end there. Daniel Bryan not only fought the Fiend back down through the ring, but he also ripped out his dreadlocks in a similar way that the Fiend ripped out Daniel Bryan's hair. Now, I thought this was a great segment. Like I said, I didn't enjoy the Kane promo at the start. It reminded me of those 2010 Kane promos where he would do those long soliloquies to open SmackDown when he was feuding with The Undertaker. And the only thing impressive about them was that Kane or Glenn Jacobs had managed to memorize all this verbiage that was probably written for him at the last minute. But then once Bray Wyatt came out or did his segment, his Firefly Funhouse segment, I thought it was really well done. I thought it was really entertaining. I was critical with the rumours of the Kane versus the Fiend match possibly happening at down in Saudi Arabia in February. But the face-off between the Fiend and Kane here, actually, I really enjoyed. I think there could potentially actually be a lot there in terms of the promos and the storytelling that they do. The match itself, if that was to happen in Saudi Arabia, would that be good? No, it wouldn't be good. Kane is obviously way past his prime. He's not finished in the ring yet. He said that himself on the Broken Skull sessions with Stone Cold Steve Austin. But in terms of a match, I think it could potentially, it looks more and more likely to happen. The reason I say that is because they like to trot out the legends for the Saudi Arabia shows, because the Saudi government who sets up the shows or pays WWE for the shows requests legends to be there. They have to have legends there because that's who they know. We've seen the likes of Goldberg, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kane himself at Crown Jewel come almost out of retirement seemingly to compete at these shows. So to me it seems likely that they will face off in Saudi Arabia. Like I said, the match I don't really care for. Kane's not going to win the Universal Championship. Spoiler alert, spoiler. But in terms of the promos, I think it could be very compelling. The story they could tell there, both hellish, dark, evil characters. And the way that this could work is that Bray Wyatt or The Fiend is almost the new Kane, isn't it? It's almost the new Kane or Undertaker. Hold your thought on the Undertaker there. But it would be a great way for Glenn Jacobs, Kane, to put over the new evil monster of the WWE, pass the torch, pun intended. That's the way that I think it could work. And also with rumours of, a Fiend versus Undertaker match coming up sometime down the road, it'd be the perfect way to set that up as well. Not only has Kane passed the torch, but eventually the Undertaker will pass the torch. Now, that Undertaker-Bray Wyatt match I don't think will happen at WrestleMania. I think it's more likely that could happen at Survivor Series, this being, of course, the 30th anniversary of the Undertaker's debut at Survivor Series. What better way to finish off the career of the dead man than having him pass the torch and put over the Fiend 30 years after he debuted? I mean, the story's there, surely. The story's there. It'd be the perfect way to cap off a Hall of Fame career. But in terms of the Daniel Bryan Fiend/Bray Wyatt storyline, are we going to see a bold Fiend now? Of course, he ripped out the Fiend's dreadlocks at the end of that segment. Are we going to see a different look for Bray Wyatt already? I would hope not. I really like the dreadlock look. Not necessarily to the Bray Wyatt character in the Firefly Funhouse. When he has to tie it up and all that sort of stuff, I always think it doesn't look amazing. But on the Fiend, I think it just adds to the look. But who knows? Maybe they're going to change that style already. Bray Wyatt certainly isn't one to be scared of evolving or scared of changing up his character. So perhaps we'll see Bray Wyatt with a different haircut. Not that I like it, but I think it's an interesting way to go with the storyline, and it sort of brings the storyline full circle in the sense that they've really hit on that. The Fiend changes people. He changed Seth Rollins. He changed Finn Balor. He changed The Miz. Physically, he changed Daniel Bryan and having to shave his head and shave his beard, and now Daniel Bryan's retaliation or retribution is that he's made The Fiend change. So that's an interesting way to go there, and it's good storytelling. There's good logic there. But this wasn't over. After this segment, we had Kayla Braxton backstage with Daniel Bryan. She interrupts Kane and Daniel Bryan arguing, saying, "I was a tag team champions." A nice little throwback to their WWE Tag Team Championship run as Team Hell No. Daniel Bryan says the Fiend is the best at running away. And he says, how do you beat someone who runs away when they're in trouble? So, Daniel Bryan challenges Bray Wyatt to a strap match at the Royal Rumble. He says it's maybe a bad move, but he's done with the Fiend running away. Now, I thought this was a really strange stipulation. Really strange stipulation. Now, later on in the night, we would find out that Roman Reigns is facing King Corbin at the Royal Rumble in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And to me, it almost seemed like these stipulations were the wrong way round. surely the Falls Count Anywhere match should be for this match. They're saying that Bray Wyatt's always running away. Well, he can run wherever he wants, but I can still chase after him, sort of thing. And then with Roman Reigns and King Corbin, they've been saying about, dogs, big dog, puppy, eating dog food. The strap match could be turned into a dog collar match. That seemed like the logical storytelling there. But like anything with SmackDown, since it's moved to Fox, it's completely ass backwards. So I rolled my eyes there. I also thought if you really wanted to keep the Fiend from running away, you would have him in a steel cage match, not a strap match. It just seemed really off base, this stipulation. And also what concerned me is that you look at their chemistry that they've had in the ring, particularly their match at the 2014 Royal Rumble, which really put Bray Wyatt on the map, but had an unbelievable match with Daniel Bryan. I would say, barring the Wyatt family's match with The Shield, it's the best match of Bray Wyatt's career, that match at the Royal Rumble. Go back and watch it, it's phenomenal. I'm a bit annoyed that this strap match stipulation, no doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, is going to affect the chemistry in that match. They can't do all the moves, they can't have the separation that they would usually in a match, so I think this is going to affect the chemistry of that match, and I think it limits the match in terms of the quality. Perhaps they're trying to do a different version, they're trying to tell a story through using the straps, the strap gimmick, but I think it hampers the match quality, which is a shame because they have tremendous chemistry. And if they just had a Falls Count Anywhere, a steel cage, they could have told so much story in the steel cage. Remember that when Daniel Bryan infiltrated the Wyatt family back in 2013, 2014, that was in a steel cage match. They were in a steel cage, I believe it was a tag team match, and then Daniel Bryan turns on Bray Wyatt at the end of it. You can tell the story there, it comes full circle. You screwed me once in a cage, I will finish this inside of a steel cage. It makes so much sense. Daniel Bryan saying, I did it, I screwed you once before in the steel cage, I'm going to do it again. That to me, that's storytelling. If you're going to harken back to the past, if you're going to mention about how the Fiend remembers, and the Fiend remembers that Daniel Bryan screwed him in the Wyatt family, the Fiend remembers Kane's match against Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam 2013, then you should use that. People are saying that maybe the Bray Wyatt versus Kane match in Saudi Arabia, if and when it happens, might be an Inferno match. It won't be an Inferno match, but perhaps it could be a Ring of Fire match like they did before. So, I really enjoyed this segment. I thought it was really well done. It was fun. It was edge of your seat stuff. It had a lot of twists and turns that you didn't see coming. And it told a nice story and potentially set up a future showdown, Super Showdown, between Kane and The Fiend, which, to give WWE their credit, I'm more interested in seeing now than I was previously. So maybe it's done that job.